a new challenge. After departing New Caledonia on the 28th of October 2035, Mark had now spent more than 10 years in management. During that time, he had established himself as a well-known figure in Oceanian football. People recognized him for his collection of trophies, his ability to transform teams into winners, and his habit of leaving clubs at the very top of their game. His next adventure would take him on a journey of around 22 hours. Once again, there was no direct flight to his destination, meaning he had to make a stop in Fiji before continuing onward. Mark arrived at Tarawa Airport in Kiribati on the 30th of October, where he was welcomed by representatives from his new club, TUC. It was a team with potential, but also a team carrying the frustration of several missed opportunities. Since 2028, they had consistently finished in the top 4 of their group and qualified for the playoffs, yet they had never managed to go all the way and lift the trophy. Mark believed that could change. He was convinced that the squad already possessed the quality needed to become champions. What they lacked was belief, direction, and perhaps a fresh perspective. That was exactly what he intended to bring. His goal was simple: qualify for the playoffs once again and finally win the title that had escaped the club for so many years. A flying start. The first match of the 2036 season took place on the 25th of February. TUC opened their campaign in impressive fashion, defeating Macon 5-1. With a total of 20 league matches to be played, every team would face each other 4 times throughout the season. Due to the fixture schedule, Macon also happened to be the very next opponent just 3 days later. Once again, TUC proved too strong, securing another convincing 5-1 victory. It was the perfect beginning to Mark's latest chapter. The team looked confident, the players were responding well to his ideas, and there was already a sense that something special might be brewing. Midway through the season, fast forward to the halfway point of the campaign, the 10th league match of the season. TUC had been unstoppable. Since Mark's arrival, the team had won every single league game they had played. 30 points from 10 matches had them sitting comfortably at the top of the table. Along the way, they had scored 49 goals while conceding just 17. Their success was not limited to the league either. In the National Cup, TUC had progressed to the semi-finals after securing a convincing 4-2 victory in the quarterfinals. The confidence around the club continued to grow. The players believed in the system, the supporters were beginning to dream, and Mark could sense that his stay in Kiribati might be a short one if things continued at this pace. After all, history suggested that once he completed a mission, he rarely stayed much longer. End of the season, Mark thoroughly enjoyed watching his side play. Everything seemed to flow naturally on the pitch. Attacks came with purpose, chances were created regularly, and the players looked comfortable in their roles. The results reflected that harmony. Week after week, TUC continued to win. Only a single draw interrupted what was otherwise an incredible campaign, and even that result had little impact on the overall standings. When a regular season came to an end, TUC stood proudly at the top of the table with 58 points. They had scored an astonishing 85 goals while conceding only 27. On top of that, they had reached the final of the Cup and secured their place in the championship playoffs. The playoff campaign began with a thrilling 3-2 victory in the opening round. In the quarterfinal, they produced another dominant display, winning 5-2. The semi-final proved more difficult, but TUC once again found a way through, edging their opponents 2-1. Standing between them in history was Santo Betero, who had earned their place in the final through victories of 2-1, 4-1, and 1-0. The stage was set, the playoff final. The final against Santo Betero began in the worst possible way for TUC. After 21 minutes, Santo Betero took the lead and silenced much of the crowd. For a moment, doubt began to creep in, but TUC responded like champions. In the 33rd minute, they equalized, bringing themselves back into the contest. Just 4 minutes later, they were awarded a penalty, and the opportunity was calmly converted to make it 2-1. That was the score at halftime. The second half belonged almost entirely to TUC. Another goal arrived in the 61st minute to extend the lead to 3-1. A second penalty followed in the 72nd minute, and TUC once again made no mistake from the spot, making it 4-1. 10 minutes later, they struck again. 5-1. Santo Betero managed to pull one back almost immediately, reducing the deficit to 5-2, but there was no stopping TUC. They scored one final goal before the end, sealing an emphatic 6-2 victory. For the first time in the club's history, TUC were champions. Players, staff, and supporters celebrated wildly, but only to a certain extent. There was still one more final to play, and everyone knew the season was not yet over. The biggest party would have to wait. The Cup final. Only a few days later, TUC returned to the pitch for the Cup final against Papua South. Unlike the playoff final, this was a tense and evenly contested affair. Neither side could find a breakthrough during the opening stages, and the match remained locked at 0-0 well into the second half. Every challenge felt important, every attack carried weight, and the tension around the stadium grew with each passing minute. Finally, in the 76th minute, the deadlock was broken. TUC found the goal they desperately needed. The lead was slender, but it proved enough. The final whistle eventually arrived, and with it came another eruption of joy. TUC had secured a 1-0 victory and lifted their second trophy of the season. Now, with no more matches left to play, the real celebrations could begin. Players celebrated with their friends and families, supporters sang long into the night, and the club enjoyed one of the greatest moments in its history. Mission accomplished. The Cup final was not only the final match of the season, it was also Mark's final match in charge. Everyone at the club understood the situation. Mark had arrived with a clear objective: transform TUC into champions. He had achieved exactly that, winning both major trophies available and leaving the club in a stronger position than he had found it. True to his philosophy, he was prepared to move on while the team stood at the summit. 1 month after guiding TUC to a historic league and cup double, Mark said his farewells and set his sights on the next chapter of his Oceanian Odyssey. Another island nation had been conquered. The question now was simple: where would the journey take him next?